Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, and welcome everybody to another practice seed. This time we don't have a comparison, unfortunately, it's just practice for the upcoming Link to the Past tournament qualifiers. It is the tournament heart settings, which means 48 total heart pieces, only one maximum bottle, 3 maximum swords, no armor upgrade, but up to 20 maximum hearts, so there's actually quite a lot of hearts in there. No armor upgrades makes it a little bit trickier at times, but you also do not start with boots in this one, not even Zelda boots. So I would suggest, let's just get going in 3, 2, 1, move. And as usual, I like to start in the Sanctuary, because, well, it gives me a lot of options too. Welcome to this Atlantic Wolf, I hope you're doing well. So, let's check the map real quick. Alright, we have 2 pendants in the light world, which actually makes it reasonably likely that we will need the ice rod for this. As usual, the ice rod is my biggest concern, even at the very beginning, so I'm always happy to find it immediately, even if we never end up needing it. Let's see, the bush crab actually has bombs for us today, how nice. So, one of the biggest concerns early game is getting enough bombs. Let's also check the tree pole. We have the standard magic drop from these. Good to know. And the tree pole is just 20 rupees total. You know what? I'm gonna go and roll with this. So what I normally do is I kill 4 enemies and then intentionally get hit as well in order to... nothing up there. In order to check a different kind of tree pole. The one that you normally would run into whenever you just pull on a random tree after a bit of playing, since one tree pull is when you kill 3 or less enemies, one tree pull is if you kill 4 or more enemies and have gotten hit, and one other tree pull is if you kill 4 or more enemies and you have never gotten hit. So that's kind of the 3 different tree pulls you can get in the vanilla game. 3 or less enemies is single rupees. If you kill 4 or more enemies and never get hit, that is 20 rupees each time. Oh, there's a bow. Which is nice to find, but at the same time, I don't want to go to Eastern Palace. So getting my 20 rupees here again, because I have not killed more than 1 enemy at a time. I don't have any arrows. There's more heart pieces in heart than there needs to be. Well, it's modified heart. You don't get full heart containers as much in comparison. So basically, instead of getting full hearts and potentially just filling up your heart gauge frequently or quickly, it's going to be more gradual because you need 4 heart pieces for a full heart container. But there are a total of more heart pieces than there normally would be, which consequently means you will both find more heart pieces and, well, you can still get up to 20 hearts total, rather than, well, what the other modus was. There are, I think, 3 or 4 full hearts and a sanctuary heart that can actually upgrade your health directly. But for the most part, that's it. Also, we do not start with boots, so we just kind of hope to find them along the way sometime, and it's hopefully not gonna be too late compared to other races. So, even though this is not a race right here, so I don't have a frame of reference, I like to just kind of always keep that racing mindset, if you will. So we now have enough money in order to buy the item from the bottle vendor. This is a heart refill right there. And this is good enough for me for now. We need 1 more bomb at the very least for getting whatever is in the chicken house. Then we need 1 more bomb. Potentially, if we want to get the item from the racing minigame. We have 1 arrow right now, which is interesting. So I would actually like to have a few more to just clear the front of Hyrule Castle. We did get the small key, which does mean that the entire bottom area of Hyrule Castle is in fact in logic. You need that small key, which can be basically in the Sanctuary chest. It can be in the first chest in the front of Hyrule Castle, or it can be basically at the Sanctuary drop-down, where you get to the back of the escape sequence. There can also be the small key. Either way, you need to get that small key in order for it to be logically available to get to Zelda's cell all the way. There's nothing of note here. You have the arrow, right, but it only counts for one anyways. Alright, we do definitely want to have that item. That is a glove right here. It's actually 2 seats in a row where it would have been slightly faster to immediately go into the racing minigame, but I did kind of want to preserve the bombs, all things considered. Preferably. Now, with the glove we actually can check out the back of the escape sequence too, and I will do this basically as a priority, and the reason is actually quite simple. There are 3 chests right there. We know it's not going to be a small key, so at least 2 out of the 3 items are going to be unique checks, if you will. They could be useful, they might not be useful, I don't know, but it's going to be something that is not a dungeon item. In this case, it could also be a map. However, if we don't find the map there, it's actually very possible that we might not actually get to, or have to go into the sewers chest in the Dark Cross, if you will. Which, if that one is the map, well, we never need to go and visit it, do we? Rats didn't drop anything, lost an idea. There's a fire rod, that's all, and an ice rod, wow, holy cow. Alright. I always love getting an early ice rod, even more so than an early fire rod. We do have full magic, so we can easily check the front. I'm gonna do that real quick. The reason why I tend to go to the front here sooner rather than later, if you will, is because a lot of people like to start at the Link's house and then get to Uncle before saving and quitting to the Sanctuary and then more or less do the standard route that I just did earlier. Which I think is a fine opening route because it gives you a bit more safety in terms of chances for getting bombs or enough money to buy bombs in order to not have to double back in Kakariko because you didn't get bombs, so to speak. So yeah. In this case, they would have gotten 3 bombs out of it, which means they would have had to not worry about them at all, or although in this seat specifically, the bush crab kind of bailed me out here, to say the least. Also, I'm not pulling on this. You can also check the tree pull here, which can also be valuable information early on and potentially a source of more resources, like money or bombs as well. You know that Turtle Rock is pendant? No, actually it doesn't mean that at all. Turtle Rock can still be a crystal or not. I assume you're referring to the ice rod. Alright, so here's a little fun fact. The blue guards die instantly to the ice rod. I do not know why. And, fun fact, I did not need to kill that guy now that I think about it. It was entirely unnecessary for me to kill that blue guard, because he drops a key. I already have a key. I did not need that one. Whoops. Either way, if I were to use a fire rod, they would effectively burn, and that burning animation takes a little while until it resolves. So it would be basically just straight up slower to do that. But I only have a single arrow, which is not enough to kill 1 blue guard, but it is enough to kill a green guard. So here we go. You actually have to kill this guy in order— oh, I did not want to have a heart refill. So the reason why I don't need that key, which is why I didn't have to kill that other guard at all. I needed to kill this one in order to open the door, but the previous one I could have skipped, because I did not need the key. Either way, you know what, I'm not gonna Death Warp. So you can freeze this guy, and it's like a pot deals Master Sword Tempered Sword damage. It's quite funny. And, funnily enough, the Dark Cross is actually just a map. You do not have to worry about it whatsoever, so that's very nice. We don't have enough money in order for me to consider doing a hula hand before we go south, so let's go south. So, the interesting part to me is, with a fire rod, rooms that have torches in them, where you can light up the room, are in fact in logic in these settings here. It's basically called advanced item placement, where if a dark room has torches in it, you don't necessarily need a lamp. A fire rod is just as fine to light up the room and proceed through it. Although you do at least need the fire rod. Which, the interesting thing about this is, for Eastern Palace, is the chest that normally contains the big key all the way around, so to speak. That one you need the lamp in order to get to by logic. But the boss itself is actually available without needing, well, the lamp, because there is in fact a torch in that one dark room that you need to cross. So the boss is in logic for that dungeon, even if the other place is not available. Oh, that's not good. I need to use some bombs here. Alright, didn't go too poorly. Looks like almost vanilla drop pools actually for the items. There's a hammer. We have access to the Dark World now, except for the small caveat of, well, no moon pearl. So we can't go anywhere right now. These crabs here always deal 2 hearts of damage, and because there's no armor upgrades in this setting here, that means it will stay 2 hearts of damage. Also, Ice Rod Cave is kind of far out of the way and often does not contain anything, but it is in logic, and if you have to specifically come back here later, walking all the way from Link's house, that's a lot of time lost. So basically, I just like to play it safe. So from here, we're probably gonna save and quit, unless we find flippers. Actually, even with flippers, we might save and quit. That's a decent amount of money. Zora is in fact in logic thanks to having the gloves. So if we were to do a hula hand room, which is basically dropping down in a weird way, so the game does not know where to place you, and it by default places you in the hula hand room, which has 225 rupees, I think, would allow us to get enough money to be able to pay Zora. But I preferably don't go over there yet. Especially if I have enough arrows, I can actually get the ledge item from Zora, but curious enough I can't get the waterfall fairy item with a sequence break right now. So, this is one of the few times where it's actually relevant to check what the green pendant is. Misery Mire's green pendant, because we know the other 2 pendants already. So, everything else is a crystal dungeon. I don't know which ones are the 5-6 crystal dungeons, but this allows me to more quickly check the map later. I don't know whether that's worth it or not, but oh well. That's just how I do it for now. One thing that I think is interesting, if you know Misery Mire is a pendant beforehand, you never technically have to clear the pendant dungeons in order to be able to win a seed. With a small caveat where, if of course something is necessary is in said pendant dungeons, or on the pedestal, or maybe in the green pendant that you can turn in for Sahasrara for 1 random item. So, in the sense, the flute, which is required to get to Misery Mire, could just be inside Gannon's tower and we never find it. But basically, if I ever go into Desert via book, I want to immediately fully clear it, because, well, we might not have the flute in this seed whatsoever. There is a bottle right here. So, as I've mentioned before, this is a dungeon I don't want to clear. It is a pendant dungeon, but at the same time it does have some items in it, and there's not a whole lot of other places to go at this point. The bottle could be some other item at Sikid in Kakariko village, but that's kind of an awkward check to check separately, so I'm not gonna worry about it for now. Put a bomb here. And there we go. I do want arrows, thank you very much. If I had arrows I could have optimized that room a little bit, but didn't get them until now. Alright. We do have the big key, by the way, so this does mean, as I've mentioned before, that the boss in fact is in logic right now. Which I think is very interesting. What is not in logic is this chest all the way around, but because we found both the map and the compass, we know it has a unique item in it. That item likely doesn't have anything useful in it. And it's just gonna be a waste of time going over there through the dark room. This one here is not in logic, but at the same time, not really a way for me to tell until I check it. So I'm basically just playing it safe by going to check this. Also I managed to somehow walk past the wiggly bat without getting hit. That's nice. We don't have a equip or enough burner to optimize getting this switch under the pot, so we just walk. And it was nothing, as expected. But at the same time, you don't know until you check. Or you read the spoiler log, which kind of defeats the purpose of this operation because I won't have a spoiler log. Alrighty, so this is where it's nice to have enough magic to do this, where there's a torch in the corner here. I'm actually gonna kill this guy too, because I want to go into this room here to briefly grab enough money for Zora, so we don't have to do Houlihan separately. Just barely don't have enough, but 2 rupees should be easy enough to come by. Alright, I actually wasn't sure whether we would have enough magic to use the torch again. But we did, so it's fine. Grab arrows. Despite not being in logic, it's probably easier than the room which is in logic. Well, if you have fire rod and enough magic to actually light it up, I think this is easier to do. Or to go through here, but the catch is of course if you don't have a fire rod. I did not play that right. I got lucky. Oh well. Alrighty, let's see. I predict the moon pearl here. I was wrong. That's interesting. So, aside from potentially the bottle, there was nothing in Eastern Palace. So that's less than ideal. Then again, we now have the money for Zora, I suppose. Now, do we go to Zora or do we go Agina? I think we go to Agina first. Oh yeah, actually, we don't have to clear Desert this seed because it's a pendant too. Well, we probably don't have to clear Desert, but we don't know. Was the bottle lamp locked? No, actually, it was just standing right there. So it was available from the get-go in a sense. Agina is one of these places where some races like to check the dam and then go left over here to check Agina, which I think is a fair route. It is rare enough for people to do that I'm not really concerned about it. And it's also rare enough that he is required early on to begin with. Again, I'm not really concerned about that. If somebody does that and gets something useful out of it, nice. But most of the time I'm gonna gain time over here. But these are kind of the interesting types of gambles you can take. If you know that your opponent never goes to Agina early, this can be one of these locations where if there's a like a Somaria or an Ice Rod or Fire Rod or something that is not strictly required for progression is in here, you can potentially gain a lot of time over somebody else. In this case, it's nothing. Alright, I do have enough money for Zora. I don't like going there right now because I can't check the... other thing first. Alright, we go to Zora. The more direct way. So what we're gonna do is called Ancillity Spawn. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 3 arrows into the wall, then put 2 bombs down, and we jump into the water. And this usually works, but in this case it doesn't. I don't have a way to reset it though, do I? I guess we're just gonna try again. This might not work, because... variables! Yeah, I can't do that. Literally doesn't work. Alrighty, so basically what I was trying to do there is I was trying to fill the game's memory slots up so it would allow me to skip the splash animation for when Link, or in this case Mog, hits the water. And that splash animation is actually what checks for whether you are allowed to swim in the water or whether you should get teleported back to a stable land where you were before. And that's kind of how Fake Flipper works to begin with. You basically do the screen transition over here before that happens. So I hold up right here. Now we jump into the water, but the splash animation does not have enough time to put me back on land. So, well, we can swim anyways, because by default you can just swim. And this is faster than going the normal way up to Zora, in case you're curious still. Even though if I were to be able to effectively despawn the splash animation with 3 arrows and 2 bombs, it would be more efficient. Just 10 arrows over there, we don't need those. By the way, fun fact about these enemies in particular, they always drop an item, these Zora enemies. So if you need something, you can check their item drop, and if you remember the swans, they will always drop an item. In this case, it's just the heart item pool, which means it's mostly hearts until you get a single green rupee, and that's it. So these guys would not be useful for farming money. Let's see. Alright, and Zora was nothing. So what we actually do here is we reset the console instead of doing a usual save and quit. Let me reset my capture real quick, sorry. Just walking outside. Resetting the console effectively allows me to keep the money, because we know Zora is nothing now. But this allows me to keep the 500 rupees, which may or may not be relevant. Saving and quitting would be faster, but potentially having to farm more money would be a lot slower. So, it turns out it was in fact the empty bottle in Eastern Palace that we wanted. Which is very interesting. Unless I forgot something. And there is powder right there. Alright. With powder we can check out one more item right over here at the magic bat, and this has to be it right now. I mean, it could be the mushroom, so we would go to the witch and turn that in, and then we could get the shovel, and then we could go and dig that up. So basically just fetch quest items. Alrighty. In before Master Sword or Cape. We don't have a lamp, so it's unlikely. Excuse me. There's the moon pearl. Alrighty. Since we're already in Kakariko, we can just go ahead and... You know what? No. I'm just gonna do a standard route. My standard route is, if I have a bow and a hammer, I more or less immediately want to go and head over to Palace of Darkness, because I can fully clear it. It might not be terribly easy with a certain item loadout, and, well, right now, not gonna be easy, but with the fire rod it is easy enough. So we still need to check which ones are 5-6 crystals. Just know that it is not gonna be Misery Mire, that's about it. And let's see. Alright, Ice Palace and Swamp are the 5-6 crystals. is relevant information. In this case, I've actually never checked this item pool here. It is 20 rupees total. We want the bomb. There we go. So the reason why I like starting Hype Cave, it's 5 items really close together. And especially with the few resources we have right now, it's nice to have. Also, 300 rupees here means that I really did not need to go ahead and keep those rupees for Zora. So technically lost a little bit of time, but practically you never know. This is basically just me playing it reasonably safe. Alrighty. I also like to check the pyramid ledge as I go up here, especially if it is less likely for us to find, or well, have to go and check the pyramid fairy to begin with. In this seed we also don't necessarily need boots, because we probably don't have to clear desert. It's always possible that we do, but oh well. Make sure to mark the book. Again, does allow us to go into desert. I'm considering picking up that heart piece, but at the same time, it's fine. Fun fact, its name is actually Dark Palace, but the speedrun/random community calls it Palace of Darkness so that there aren't two dungeons with the same initials, DP. Desert Palace being the other. I actually did not know that. That makes sense though. Under what circumstances would you go catfish from here? If Palace of Darkness would be a pendant, I would go and visit Catfish instead, because I could technically clear the entire dungeon. So I intentionally avoid it until there's very few other item locations left. And then I would go and clear it. Especially, I wouldn't want to go in there if it's not in logic to fully clear it, like without a lamp, for example. Alternatively, if I basically just got access to the Dark World, and let's say I'm still on 3 or 4 hearts, and I don't have a fire rod to make the turtle room easier, then that's another time where I might just decide to go somewhere else before going to Palace of Darkness, despite having the means to clear it. Because it's a bit sketchy with that little amount of health. Just a little bit. Well, we don't have a hookshot and no boot to speed up travel, so we're just walking, I guess. There's another small key. That is small key number 2. There's guaranteed 4 small keys in the first 6 front chests in Palace of Darkness. Eh. Messed up. Oh well. So this chest here is number 3, and 2 bowlock chests are going to be afterwards, after we drop down and get this chest down there. Right, this is not a small key. It's not an item we need, but not a small key. Immediately after leaving the pyramid was right best to check catfish, right? Most of the time, yes. I tend to just orphan catfish. And the alternative to checking it is after you go to visit the pyramid fairy. Or after graveyard ledge. Those are kind of the main times to check catfish. But basically my priority to clear crystal dungeons that I have all the tools to clear to begin with takes priority over going for checking everything most efficiently. There is the last guaranteed small key, and there's our first unique item on this dungeon. It's a very useful one with the Titansmiths immediately acquired. Very nice. So this was definitely a solid choice, I would say. What we want to do is do this. Have a heart. Well, that's less than ideal. No, I messed it up. Oh well. I do want a death rope from the back, I think. But... oh, come on. You know what? I have to knock this down here. I think the pattern is a bit too awkward right now. And Red Beetles deal 2 hearts of damage. I did not want to death orb yet, game. Too early, I messed up. Oh well. I think you partially have to resign yourself to the fact that there's almost never a good time to check it. But if you can route it in a mushroom turn-in or Zora or something, it's not terrible. Yeah, I think that's pretty much how Catfish works. Like, there's never a good time to go out of your way to go all the way there. But at the same time, there is less inefficient ways. And curious enough, it's not the worst check to just go ahead and walk all the way there completely separately with nothing else in between. Especially since, frequently enough, other racers will choose to orphan Catfish as well. So it's never that big of a deal, all things considered. I don't need the money, so we're not gonna worry about grabbing more than just one line, I guess. Alright, we have 3 small keys at this point in the dungeon, which does mean we want to check the chest just south of here. With 2, this is guaranteed to be a small key itself, because it would have to pay effectively the small key cost itself. Alrighty, and with this, I'll want to... well, I don't really want to go in here, but oh well. This is gonna be a dark room without having a good way to navigate. Ah. Alright, I take these arrows. So the nice thing is, you are allowed to have a reference map. Ooh, hookshot. You're allowed to have a reference map, and that's what I'm using here. This is why I'm navigating as reasonably well as I can here. Walked away. These things deal 2 hearts of damage, and that's a huge problem. Because I can't really do anything about them. I actually haven't found the big key yet, and I do know where it is now. Yikes. So this is something I really want to not have happen during the actual race. So I might be more hesitant in a big qualifier to go into Palace of Darkness this early. Because I don't have a sword. I can't properly navigate this dark room. Like I kind of sort of can. And finding the hookshot there early is really kind of a big deal. The problem is, of course, that you know, this kind of put me back quite a bit, again. Somebody just finds the lamp, I don't know, in the village of outcasts. They would have potentially just gained a ton of time over me right there. So I don't have the big key. I have to go and grab it first. But I know where it is. Because it's literally the last chest remaining. Right, I'm in the correct spot, got the small key. Double checking, alright. Now I want a death warp. Good thing that didn't refill my health for that. So the tricky part is now... there we go. Okay. That's a really awkward thing to go through right now, but at the same time, it's practice. This is literally why I practice to begin with, so I can gain more experience with doing this kind of thing, and hopefully goof up less when it actually counts. Alright. Oops, too early. I of course am going to grab all the health I can, because I will need it, because whilst those were not the only dark rooms available, there's still 3 more to go technically. One is kind of mostly irrelevant, but we'll see. Grab the arrows, because they could be very, very handy. They did not want to use an arrow there. That's fine, we only need 8 for the boss. If you're facing someone faster than you, you might gamble on leaving it to save time. You have heard of strategy like people would check it only if they think their opponent also will. Yes, that's actually often me, but I know my opponent is execution-wise just a bit weaker. I will take them serious enough that I'm going to go for what they mostly will or will not check. If I know their patterns. I somehow was too far down. Also, I can't use a medallion in case you're curious. Right. Okay. As soon as we light this torch, we're fine, basically. It's not pretty, but it works. This was kind of the biggest concern right there. I will take 2 hearts of damage here, unless I decide to just randomly hammer and hope for the best. Right, 1 heart of damage. That kind of worked. I was gonna only hammer once. Righty, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, I think that's wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He didn't go for the thing. Please stay still. I don't have good weapons to defeat you with if these arrows miss. Thank you, sir. Oof. Sketchy. Super sketchy. Alrighty. Good enough, I would say, for now. We will need to find the mirror at some point, and flippers. We will need to find the King of Samaria at some point. And of course 2 swords. And I would like to find the boots, but oh well. Not much I can do about that for now. But having Titansmiths right now does in fact help me. Go just ever so slightly faster. And the hookshot as well. So effectively, we got 2 really good items out of Palace of Darkness. But, in a weird kind of twist, these items are almost too good that I found. And what I mean with this is they block out a lot of potential locations where you can go. So because it locks out so many locations where you can go, there's not a whole lot of other locations a potential opponent could check. So it's not the best to find these items immediately. Like, it allows you to have, in the grand scheme of things, a more efficient route. But also not the worst, I guess. What's this down drop? Single green rupee. Not useful. Alrighty, so you might be wondering, normally, Yaga, you always go into Skullwoods immediately. What happened? Well, dear observant viewer, today, we need a sword in order to clear Skullwoods. I would like to clear Skullwoods as soon as I go up there. And because I need just 1 out of the 4 possible swords that spawn somewhere in the world, like this one, I'm just gonna go up to Skullwoods right after this. Gonna make the rest of the routing slightly more awkward, but hey, it's fine. Either way, we have a sword now. It also makes Thieves' Town way easier. Effectively, I'm just gonna do a reverse route, which the downside of this, of course, is going to be that I'm going to leave the Dark Overworld, which a lot of opponents will do more or less immediately, kind of alone for a little while. Right as the words were spoken, yep. Coincidences happen. More arrows for me. Not immediately useful right now. Also, I did not pay attention whether the first chest was a map or a compass or a regular item, which would be all on me. Because then I will need to take the time in order to check the map to see whether I need to go and open up the big chest. I actually tend to forget to think during these first 3 chests. Like, I will notice when there's a big item there. But if it's just a heart piece or 5 rupees or something like that, I just kind of skip over it in my brain to try and think about more relevant things, which does not usually come back to bite me, in terms of I don't actually have to open up the map that frequently in order to double check whether I have a map or compass and have to open up the big chest or not. But it does happen occasionally, and that's just technically a time loss that is just unnecessary, if you will. Alrighty. Always have the hookshots ready here, but then we switch over to the bomb. Check where the grasshoppers walk. If you just walk straight to the right out of the door there, you guarantee it not running into a grasshopper immediately. These things deal 2 hearts of damage. Actually pretty crazy. It's basically like faster crabs, but their movement is very predictable. They will always turn clockwise as soon as they hit a wall. They can randomly stop, and when they stop they do afterwards choose a random direction to go in, but again, it's kind of limited on how far they can go anyways. I messed up. That was unnecessary damage taken. That's alright. So, as soon as we find King of Samari, we would go immediately up Death Mountain and try to clear Turtle Rock. I say try to clear because we don't know whether we can get in there with just a pompous medallion. And while we could technically clear Ice Palace via fake flippering also, I don't have to check the map. Because if you find one map or compass, you always need to go and check the big chest if you get the small key. Either way, while we could fake flipper into Ice Palace, because we do need the flippers, there is actually little value in doing that before we find the flippers. Then sure, it could contain a required item, but at the same time, because one of the required items, the flippers, is guaranteed not in there, it's likely to lose us more time than not, because we might just find the King of Samaria along the way, and the Turtle Rock Medallion, as well as just, well, everything else. Also, I did forget that I had a sword, by the way, in case you're wondering. I don't know whether I would have swung it anywhere. Forgot until now. Only just remembered because blind is really awkward with a hammer. Doable, but really awkward. Especially if you have low health. Let's say you get into the Dark World with 4 hearts and a hammer. Sure, you could clear Thieves Town, but that's one of those few times where I decide to just go somewhere else first. Alrighty. You know, we could actually do Dark Overworld first. But I kind of don't want to. I want to go up Death Mountain. Because we know we don't need the flute, just walking up Death Mountain without the lamp is perfectly fine. It's entirely possible that the flute is somewhere available, and you will find the lamp on Death Mountain. But because I neither care about clearing Desert Palace, nor do I care about clearing Misery Mire, because both are pendants, I'm not really too worried about finding the flute, if that is indeed the logical implication of how that's supposed to work. And I should have checked the bumper ledge before going here. Oh well, too late. I like to check the item on the right here, because frequently enough, the front of Skullwoods does actually have the items, like right this one. 1 out of 2. Which also means that I don't have to potentially backtrack as far. If the boss has, or Under the Bridge has the next item. As well as this item over here. I almost always want to check this, because if you want to begin at the back end of Skullwoods, because you have a fire rod and everything you need to clear Mothia. That's fine. But this chest here, basically this is faster to check than the maze chest. So you might as well just do this one. Oh, barely didn't get it. You might as well just do this one on the way over to the left, rather than anything else. And especially without a mirror, where we don't have a quick way to get back to the entrance, the hand is very convenient. Ah, now I see spider hands everywhere. I may have played a game with spider hands recently. Do not like spider hands. Then again, until Ocarina of Time, I was never as spooked of wall busters either. But Ocarina of Time wall busters are terrifying, really. Spider hand, spider hand. Trying to preserve magic. Not really technically necessary. Unless I die to the boss. Then I suppose it's necessary. I do want to grab this small key, because it can be relevant to check the front of Skullwoods if the boss doesn't have the item or it's not under the stairs, but you actually don't need magic for the boss, because hammer hits are stronger. It's only 4 hammer hits, as opposed to 8 fire rod shots. The obvious problem, of course, is actually hitting with the hammer. Plus, if you hit Mothila and it bounces into the spikes, it will not counter hit. But still, 4 hammer hits to me is way easier than 8 fire rod shots. Alright, this was not the item we were looking for, so we go check under the maze room. And we hope we don't have to backtrack out of here. Because if we have to go back to the front of Skullwoods, we might as well do the Dark Overworld while we're there. But I really want to go up that mountain next. So if we find the second item here, we will save and quit. The one exception is if it's a mirror. We will mirror out and check the pedestal. I always like to think of the potentials and possibilities as to what I may do if, so to speak. Pretty sure it's faster to walk than Death Warp right now as well. Is Mothila vulnerable to Ice Rod? I don't think so. I don't think I've tried, to be fair. Because you always need the Fire Rod anyways, in order to get back here in the standard modes. Mothila also, one of the more interesting things to me is, in more modern Zelda games, you know, you pick up a pot, you find arrows under it, then you probably know, okay, I probably have to use arrows somewhere around here or even on the boss. In this game, not so much. There's an arrow pot just before Mothila, and Mothila literally does not get hurt even by silver arrows. Kinda funny. The arrows just stick in and do nothing. Okay, I guess we're just gonna backtrack out of here anyways and do the Dark Overworld. Am I going to deliver Froggy? It's kind of really far out of the way, but at the same time, if it does in fact have the mirror, then that might just be more efficient after all. Flippers. Well, it was definitely relevant for us to come back here to check. So flippers are a required item, and now I want to go Ice Palace. I'm gonna go Ice Palace. Ice Palace is not a pretty place right now with my current setup, but we'll make it work. I'm gonna actually buy a red potion along the way. We can also briefly check the Waterfall Fairy chests, as well as Hopo along the way. Maybe we get another sword, or even King of Samaria. Samaria would be really nice. Also, the Waterfall Fairy could technically give me a blue potion or a fairy, which would both be better than me buying a red potion here, but it could just be a bee. And bees are not terribly useful in this situation. Then I plan on going to the Ice Palace. arrows on Mothra are a great fashion statement. Maybe it's an intimidation tactic. Ha! Look at all these arrows sticking out of me. They do nothing! In fact, I just absorb them after like half a week in my body and they just add to my defense and physique. Because... I don't know, I guess Mothra is that strong. It absorbs silver, it absorbs wood, and it absorbs the iron or stone tips or whatever these arrows have. Maybe they don't have any special kind of handling. Who knows? Either way, we don't have a King of Samaria, so this is actually a mild... excuse me. A mild concern for going into Ice Palace, because King of Samaria would dramatically speed up the dungeon here. So it would be nice if we find it right here. Nope. And... oh... really? Okay. Oops. Ah, I need to fix that button. Oh my goodness. Stop pressing that, please. If somebody has a good fix for when one of the buttons on an SNES mini controller is just pushed in and super sensitive to accidentally touching it, I would be happy to have a solution for that. Alright, I guess we are not in go mode. We still don't know the medallion for Turtle Rock, but we found King of Samaria just now. Pre-recorded. I mean, I do technically have to spoil the logs because I'm always curious to see where stuff is that I didn't find. But I didn't look at it. That's the second time this C2. I mean, I mainly mention it because it would be very nice to have before going into Ice Palace, right? So, it's just how it is. Alrighty, we will be able to do what is known as the Icebreaker. It's not actually allowed in No Major Glitches speedruns, which I think is a shame because it's kind of a fun way to go through Ice Palace. But what we do here is we actually go over here just to hit the switch and then we go back through the penguin room and through the right door here. And through that door there's gonna be a wall. Now, since this is not a race, I have a bit of time to explain what we're gonna do. So I'm holding... So basically, when I go into this room, I'm holding down or up. And the reason for this is, if I were to hold right, I never have the correct pixel alignment. If I hold down or up going into this room, it actually still push... like Moog is... if I push down right here, Mog is still going to walk to the right. And it's basically a 50-50 chance now that I have the correct pixel alignment without even trying. So basically I hold down and then hold down right, and I didn't get it. So what I want to do is basically I want to hold down right out of the door and get stuck here. This is the idea. So once I have this, I'm gonna press the King of Samaria button and then release the D-pad direction. So this automatically places the King of Samaria block right on top of me. And then I want to press left for 1 frame exactly, that is 1/60th of a second. You can buffer your input by either using a pause buffer, select buffer, or also a sword swing buffer, so to speak. What I like to do is I try to sword swing buffer because it's the fastest, but I'm also the least consistent at it. So I basically press left and immediately sword swing, right there, and then I press up or down in order to walk through the wall here. And effectively this extends the doorway transition through this wall here somehow. I don't know the exact details of how that works, but that's kind of how the icebreaker works. It's kind of easy to do once you know what to do, which is the catch. You just need to know what to do. There's also backups in case you kind of goof it up a little bit, but that's kind of the short version. And you want to have a heart here, thank you very much. And good morning, holy moly, Hotshot, thank you so much for a crazy long time of support. Welcome back for 77 months. Well, I'm glad you enjoy your stay. Thank you so much. I hope you're doing well. Also this room here, coming up on the left side, you always see me kind of enter the staircase from the side. I don't exactly know how exactly it works, but basically the short version is, you try to slide into the staircase with a spin release, and then you hold down left before you release the spin. So what I'm gonna do is start the spin, hold down left, and then I just kind of slide into the staircase from the side. This saves you a bunch of time and also makes entering that staircase potentially way easier. Hey, there's the lamp! Now the hookshot is in logic. That's kind of funny. There's an item here, and we may... No, we still need the mirror. Should I go to the boss? You know what, let's go to the... Again, this is not a race. Actually, in a race I would probably go out of my way to grab this item here. Maybe? I don't know. There's so many other places we can check more efficiently, more quickly, that going over here very slowly to check out this one chest that may not even have a required item or a unique item from this dungeon feels kind of wrong. Because all the way over here is just a compass. So if I were to go directly to the boss, it would have turned out to be way more efficient than this. Alrighty. We just go back over through here. And thankfully we do have a bomb boss medallion, so that's gonna actually help quite a bit here. If I wanted to have a little bit more magic, I can go over here. Again, this, actually probably this one I wouldn't do during a race. Hit this so the anti-fairy disappears. But there's 3 little magic pots right here. Which I needed 3 in order to fill up my MP right there to the max. But there would be 2 more right here. So I would be just kind of 1 fire rod shot shorter than if I were not to go here. So either way, Bomber's Medallion will get rid of the shell of Cold Stare here. Then I'm also gonna switch over to the fire rod right here, and I try to bonk Cold Stare into the top left. Because if in the top left, for some reason, you can much more easily and reliably hit all the parts of Cold Stare in 1 fire rod shot. If I did it right, I would have actually been able to just kill Cold Stare outright, but I was slightly off and one of the pot balls managed to escape. Wait, I did get all the items out of this dungeon before the boss actually. So I just didn't pay enough attention apparently. I could have skipped the resort chest. Oh well, this is okay. Either way, now our highest priority is going up Death Mountain. Because we need to know what the medallion requirement is for Total Rock. We also want to find the mirror, so we still need that, and we need at least 1 sword to complete the game. And maybe boots. Boots are less likely, but technically possible, because there's 1 location possibility for the Gannon's Tower Big Key to be on a torch. And I kind of need boots in order to bonk it off the torch. Oh, sorry. Alrighty, actually, you know what? If you wanted to do Palace of Darkness in Logic, it was required for you to go and grab the Titansmiths, then get out and get the... thingamajig from Ice Palace, the lamp, and then go back into Palace of Darkness. So in a tournament setting, nobody would do Palace of Darkness with a lamp, because you just go in there and clear it because you can. Well, I say nobody. Probably nobody. I mean, technically, all things considered, you don't have to be able to do dark rooms in order to participate in these tournaments. It is not required, but it does kind of diminish your chances of getting further. But always still possible. Oh, there's a sword there. Alright, we do now have a sword. So that requirement is out of the way. And the funny thing is, by the way, hookshot and lamp are in the same sphere, just kind of logic-wise. Because we needed to get the lamp in order to get the hook shot, and we needed to... Yeah, need to set up real quick. We needed to get the lamp to get the hook shot in Palace of Darkness in the dark room, and we needed to get the lamp in order to get the second sword here up on that mountain. My health is running low, as usual. I do have a rest potion at least, so that helps. So going up that mountain in the dark before Ice Palace would have in this case given me at the very least a sword already, so that would already be quite useful. But potentially I couldn't just clear Palace of Darkness while I'm here. Yeah, Total Rock, excuse me. We're gonna go and clear Tower of Hera before we do this. We won't know the Total Rock Medallion for a while. Because again, until we find the mirror, we kind of just are in full clear everything mode still. But as soon as we find the mirror, that is when we beeline immediately for the information for Total Rock Medallion. Why is it called beeline, by the way? Doesn't a bee not exactly go in a straight line? Or is it about the letter B? I guess it's also not exactly a straight line. You would kind of want to go in an eye line or something like that. Although that kind of sounds weird. Alright, we checked out everything here. Oops. I need to try and fix the eye controller. Somehow, but I don't have replacement parts. Somebody has an SNES mini controller, I would love to buy that off of you, even if it doesn't work anymore. I could use the replacement parts. Over here. The phrase derives from behavior of bees. When a forager bee finds a source of nectar, it returns to the hive and communicates the location to the other bees, using a display called the waggle dance. The other bees are then able to fly directly to the source of the nectar, that is making a beeline for it. Oh! Well, that's actually a lot more bee-related than I expected it to be. Thank you. Alright, in here we actually can still do a setup for getting into the Hera pot, which I think is quite interesting because it's a much more tricky thing to do here, and I need the health, so please stop hitting me. I need to be able to bomb myself in position. One here and one more pixel to the right, that's too far. Come on. Turn around, please. That's way too far. I don't remember where it was. This sounds about right. No, it's not. Wait, that's wrong. This is the correct one. I think maybe this one? Nope. And now I'm gonna take a death warp because I forget how to do this. Please fire me, sir. Thank you. I wanna learn how to do this. I guess I could have used the red potion. At least that's what Google says. Yeah. Google is usually a reliable information source. But then again, a lot of common knowledge is not that accurate either. Try this again. There we go. I think this is it. I remember now. Yeah, there we go. I completely forgot how to do the setup until now. I actually grab a ferry, and this is gonna save me time. I don't need it for safety, curiously enough. But the reason why it saves me time is at the end of clearing a dungeon, you always get a full health and... Oh, that... Oh no. I goofed. By the way, at the end of clearing a dungeon, you always get a full health and magic refill. I hit the switch and then I didn't go into the correct gap. Oh. And that health refill is kind of slow compared to just grabbing a ferry real quick. Oh. Well, there's another sword right there. That's very nice of you, game. Appreciate that. Alright, and we get another sword up here. So this is as many sword upgrades as we can possibly get in this kind of seed setting. While all 4 swords are placed in the tournament mode. You only get 3 of them. So if I were to find the 4th sword location, it's gonna be actually a green 20 rupee stack instead. So we would still know where it was. Now, the biggest question is, do I go for Spiral Cave? The annoyance, of course, is that I will have to climb all the way back up. And I think the answer is yes, we just do Spiral Cave. I wanna play safe, you just always do Spiral Cave. But it's kind of a slow walk through it to get the item, and then I also have to climb the mountain back up. Let's actually check the timer real quick. We are 5:01, let's say 5:01. And see how long it takes for me to get back up the mountain in order to possibly get into Turtle Rock. I'm actually curious how long it actually is. You may have also messed up the Ancilla. I'm not entirely sure what you mean exactly with that. But yeah, Ancilla... Just now? Oh, wait. I don't think that's called Ancilla though, in this case. You mean for the Tower of Herapod, right? No, I was just standing in the wrong position there. You actually have more wiggle room with that setup that I'm doing now. And I learned that setup thanks to Freddy. Shout out to Freddy for being awesome. You know, I just realized Mirror is basically go mode. I never needed to check the island up here. Yeah, the thing is, most of the time these days I played with pseudo boots, or often I already have boots at this point anyways. And we need Bombas, so we actually can just straight up clear this dungeon. We will do that, in fact. I thought maybe you had picked up the mini Moldrum item while it was in the air. That would have messed up the bomb trajectory. Oh, specifically while it's in the air, you say. I knew that picking up items could mess up the trajectory somehow, and I don't understand why, but I know it can. But I didn't realize that it would need to be specifically in the air for that. That's good to know, thank you. I actually just learned something. So if it's basically solid on the ground, it doesn't matter anymore. Thank you, wall kicks. We don't have a mirror, so we can't easily mirror back to the entrance here. That's your understanding of it, at least. Well, I mean, it's very, very plausible, to say the least. I don't have a cape or another thing to skip through the spikes here efficiently, so we just have to hookshot. There's a big key and a map. Might as well grab the magic. Actually, did not need that magic, did I? Because I'm gonna grab the magic here anyways. And I grabbed the heart there via hookshot in the hope that it would actually give me twice the amount of hearts. There's like a minor bug, if you will, that sometimes if you pick up hearts with a hookshot, and I think boomerang too, although I'm not sure about that, it can give you twice the amount of hearts. Somebody once said that it has something to do with you actually physically picking up the item as it flies over to you, and then the hookshot itself also giving you the item on top of it. But I do not know how accurate that is, but it sounds plausible. Also, as soon as you go into this pipe here, always check your arrow count, because if you have to go into Gannon's tower after this dungeon here, you need arrows, usually. Unless you plan on doing Mimic Clip, which is fine too, I suppose. Oh no. Ah! Yes. Things in here deal so much damage. Practice time. On the bright side, it's not that much time lost, but speaking of time lost, I forgot to check how much time it took to get through Spiral Cave and then climb back up the mountain. Whoopsie. A lot of these rooms are a lot more awkward if you don't have boots, by the way. Because you usually have boots, and if you practice some no major glitches stuff, you also have boots. So just specifically not having boots is really awkward. You know what? I should have filled up my health anyways. I'm always an advocate of safety first. This is why I bought a red potion earlier, even though I haven't used it yet. So I should have just used the powder in order to refill my health too. It was not really much of a reason not to. Like there's 4 anti-fairies right here that you could just refill. Alright, this time I released the button in time and all is fine. Bonk. There's one item. This is the first item of Turtle Rock. I actually did not pay attention. Turtle Rock is so slow to often get the items because most of them are just all the way in the back. Bottom left pot in the Spooky Room has magic if we need it. I don't think I need it, but it's one of these things where it's better to know beforehand than get embarrassed and not know when you need it. This is really awkward with my setup right now. Another room I goofed. I should have actually charged up the sword before going into that room in order to have a more clean setup in case one of the pokies came closer quickly. But I forgot. Usually just dash into that room for that specific reason because... Wait, do you? No, you don't. Either way, thank you for the health refill. Made bombs in order to open up the wall coming up. And I have exactly 1 bomb, I did not even check that. Ew. Nothing drops bombs here. Thankfully, I don't really need any. Your Spiral Cave play was 1 minute and 6 seconds long. A decent amount. Not insurmountable, but decent. Thank you, wall kicks. No! Wait, where am I going? Wrong way. Trying to slightly optimize with the hook shot. And then I do this. Good job, brain. I did not necessarily need to refill there. Although, on the other hand, we actually finally get to do something that I kind of actually like doing, weirdly enough, and that is laser skips without boots. So what you do is, or what I do anyways, basically, you walk over to the ledge with the eye, you make a very brief stop, basically walk, stop, and then just walk again. It's like, I don't know, a 1/5 of a second or something, basically like this. Just walk and it always works. You have to wait in order to go back unless you do the pause there very efficiently. Because if the laser is too close, you will not be able to make it back without getting lasered as well. Either way, doing these bootsless laser skips is actually really easy. I dare to say it's easier than doing it with boots. So if you have trouble doing the boots laser skip, just do them bootsless. Just walk a brief pause and it's very lenient to get. And if you mess up, you can always just walk back. You have more time than if the boot stuff just does not align. Whoa, it's Tony! Thank you! Thank you very much for the raid and the host, and welcome everybody, hope you're doing well. What were you streaming? Welcome to you, Zarok. How are you doing today? How's it going today? Alrighty. 1, 2, 3. Switch the fire rod before it explodes, because otherwise you can't switch while it explodes. And with tempered sword you can't get a 0 cycle anyways. So 1 cycle is as good as it gets. It goes. Okay. Going is fine. Oh. Path of Exile. Ooh, that's a name. Yeah, it's going quite fine over here, thank you. Just doing another practice seat here. Oh, and there would have been our last sword right here. It's a 20 stack of rupees, which does mean that... well... I didn't find the other swords, this one would have been my last one. Technically, if I skipped that one chest in Tower of Hera, because I goofed, and wouldn't have gone back, it would have been fine in the end. But it also would have been a lot more awkward to defeat... well, the big turtle thing, without having... at least tempered sword. Piece of heart. And Akina Burna. This actually brings Spike Cave into logic. So I might want to consider walking back out of here and walking over to Spike Cave. And I think we'll do that. Although at this point I would be really concerned, in a race setting that is, about the mirror being basically just somewhere near the Village of Outcasts at this point. Because it's decently likely, to say the least. But also simultaneously, I got basically everything else decently fast as well, so it's not that big of a deal. Damage boost. One of my favorite things about video games is that for some reason it's always balanced around projectiles having or dealing significantly less damage to you than if you bump into enemies directly. I always found that to be kind of curious. Also, with 4 hearts you can cancel the magic here and lift up the rock without any trouble. Bugnet. I like bugnets. Not required, but I like it. Alright. Sanctuary it is. The mirror is the go mode item. The previous actually was mirrorless, curiously enough. Also, apparently I have a red boomerang? When did I get that one? I did not pay attention. But yeah, mirror is in fact go mode item. So, worst case scenario, it's on the purple chest. Actually, you know what? No, not necessarily. It could be a good scenario if, in a race setting, the mirror was in the purple chest. Because I'm just gonna make a straight line towards the purple chest at this point, aside from checking other things too, I guess. Because I may as well. But usually you will see people just go the dark overworld, especially right after Skullwoods, and I decided to save and quit from here. You know what I should do? Whenever I highlight these, I should put the link of the seed into the description if somebody wants to race along, and then check on how they did compared to my time. Could always be fun, I guess. At least that's what I liked to do when I was still kind of new to this entire thing. Alright, we got the mirror. Is it faster to walk, or I think it's faster to save and quit from here. But the mirror. It was Titansmith's locked, which is kind of a mixed bag in terms of how good that may be for this kind of scenario. So, now we are mostly in go mode. I say mostly because 1 in 22 times the big key to Gannon's tower could be on the torch. And we don't have boots in order to bonk it down from the torch. The chances of that happening? Well, 1 in 22. Not terribly likely, but always possible. What is it? 4.45% or something? Or am I making that up now? I don't remember. Bagels? I like bagels. Bagels are very tasty. And the best thing about bagels, you can make sandwiches out of them. Also, I do need more bombs. Thank you. Thank you. Sandwich with egg? Sure, you can have that sandwich. Actually, curiously enough, I used to love cooked eggs as a kid. But then at some point, I guess I had too many or something. I just started not liking them anymore. These days, I'm just kind of neutral to them. If there's egg in there, I'm gonna eat it. But I'm not gonna put egg into my own sandwich. That makes sense. Oh my goodness. Wanna buy a replacement part for SNES mini controllers. Or SNES mini controllers to begin with. I take those too. If you have a SNES mini you don't need anymore, and you don't want your controllers, I buy them. Or if somebody actually has replacement rubbers that they were willing or know where they are good ones for these controllers, I would be happy to learn. Because I bought some at some point, or actually original SNES controllers it was. Didn't like them too much, to be honest. Do we still open these chests? I mean, they are right on the way, and there could be boots in there. But aside from silver arrows, it's unlikely for us to be useful. With egg and sausage. You have an SNES Classic, but you don't want to pay the shipping and customs. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's... Shipping and customs into Switzerland especially, it's ridiculous. At least I got a 1 cycle. I got like 3 items out of this so far. Oof. At least 3 more in there. Then again, it likely doesn't matter. Alrighty. It has been a bootsless seed. And I'm curious where the boots are gonna turn up. Because I have the spoiler log and I'm going to check it afterwards. Also no flute either. So I was actually correct about that one. Alright, we are going to Gannon's tower. There is a 1 in 22 chance for it to be in each one of the locations. So you can tell me a location where you think the big key is going to be, or you could also tell me a number. What number you think the big key is going to be in. I don't know which one it's gonna be. We'll see. So I'm gonna say Fire Snake Room. I always like to go Fire Snake Room. Kind of just a individual little chest. You usually pick 7. I thought one says 7. Let's see. Number 7 would be the torch, wouldn't it, if I were to go right side first? Then again, because the boots were not required. So here's an interesting tidbit. Some people like to go and check immediately whether the big key is on the torch or not. But especially in this scenario, we did not need the boots in order to get into Gannon's tower. So effectively, you're kind of just making your route inefficient by going to check the torch first, because if the big key is in fact on the torch, we're going to continue in Gannon's tower looking for the boots inside here, because they could be here. There's no reason why they couldn't be here. The one time where it's relevant to go and check on the torch first in Gannon's tower is when Desert was a crystal and there's a small key on the desert torch, but you still got the big key and managed to clear it without the boots. That is when you want to check the torch sooner rather than later, because the boots will not be inside here. Oh look, there's a flute. That's kind of funny. But it is not on the torch, so we are officially in go mode. Welcome to you on your fire. You have to think, but you can spare an SNES mini controller. Oh, I would be very interested in that. And welcome. I hope you have a nice day. Okay. Do I want to hedge my bets against Dark Magician strategy? Nope, not in this case. I probably would in the big race. But this is fine. Wow, the skeleton just in the way. It's actually very rare that he specifically comes to a halt there. But yeah, I would really appreciate that. Because I've used my two SNES mini controllers so much that both of them now have trouble with buttons. One of them, the A button, is just kind of pushed in at this point. And I tried to fix it, and it worked for like 10 minutes, and then it was back to normal. Or well, how it was before. Oh, not Fire Snake Room. Which, the A button being pushed in like that is a much bigger problem than the X button, which is the case for this controller right here. Hello, welcome to Totox. I hope you have a nice day. Oh. You actually don't want a hookshot until the wall fully retracts. Hey look, there's a shovel as well. Could go and dig up a Gannon's key, big key. Unfortunately, this is not key sanity, so that is not an option. Let's see. Yeah, they are nowhere close. What I wanted to do is use one of these beetles, the hard hat beetles, to give me a boost across this thing here, but that didn't happen. Speaking of a boost, I don't have any bombs. Correction, I don't have enough bombs to do this here. So we're gonna actually go the long way around for once. Normal way, if you will. So when I was a kid, I did not know you could light the torch in order to make the path visible. So what we did instead is we very painstakingly used the Cane of Samaria, pushed it ahead of us, and just very slowly inched our way forward. Yeah, there was a bomb here. That's fine. The mushroom. Very slowly, painstakingly pushed the Cane of Samaria block forward until it fell down, and then we tried to change direction. Use the medallion as well, Jaga, on the track here? True. Can do that in just a second. Ah! Messed up. That's alright. Yeah. Oh, come on. It's so difficult to get into these doors. Hey, we have all the medallions now. And there was no key here, so Dark Magician strategy likely wins. 2 small keys actually means that it is possible for the big key to be in the tile room, but I don't have a easy way to coffee break with cape. Oh well, might as well practice this like this. By the way, another completely random fun fact. In this room here, for whatever reason, if you release a fairy, it never disappears. I don't know why. I do actually have a red potion here. So I might as well just grab the fairy while I'm at it and waiting until the thing appears. By the way, I'm not doing tile room right now for the memes. I'm doing it because legitimately this is actually decent play right now. Because we have enough small keys that this thing could in fact be in tile room. It's not, but it could have been. And it's mildly more efficient to do this on the way to the right rather than later. Also trying to preserve a little bit of magic. Is it possible to send you a DM here? It is, yes, Onifire, and thank you for your kind words. I really appreciate those. Yeah, we can discuss on how that works via DM. That works perfectly fine. There's a small key. So, there's only ever a small key in this room here, if and only if there's also the big key in here. Which... Wait, does that mean I didn't have enough big small keys? I thought I had all the small keys for Gannon's tower. Apparently not. I'm mildly confused right now. The ferry doesn't feel like going anywhere. Looks like it. Also, speaking of which, kinda goofed. And... okay. Sometimes the arrows under these pots disappear. We would have a backup for that, but... if you kill the mimics in the previous room, mimic clip is really difficult to do. You can do it, Jagger. Thank you so much with that side, however. I do appreciate that. I'm trying my best, but... I'm also slow right now. Which is okay. Don't always have to be the fastest. And thank you so much for 28 months of support. Welcome back, and I'm glad you enjoy your stay. Let's see. You assume the quality is trash. Oh my goodness. Oh, I have a fairy, so I guess it's mostly fine. I need to... I can't read it right now. Hang on. I wanna if I don't read it, remind me to read this afterwards. Because I can't really check this right now in the middle of the gauntlet. Thank you for the heart. Alright. Might as well grab this. Maybe I should have just... Okay, that guy needs 1-5 rod shot and wow. Might as well just go for all swings now. That guy's not cooperating. I mean, whispers on Twitch work perfectly fine, those are open from me. But also it's perfectly fine to send PMs on Discord, whatever is more convenient really. I don't mind either way. Whee. Lamp. Messed up. Now what we're gonna do is... whoop, let's drop down. I wonder whether this is faster anyways. We need that actually. Otherwise I don't have enough magic because it's just under half. So, would I check these chests here for silver arrows? No, but I'm curious, so I'm gonna check anyways. So in a regular race setting, I would not check these chests, but because this is practice, I'm just curious whether we might find something useful along the way here. I don't think I have magic for this, do I? Nope. That's okay. Ah, I was kind of hoping for a heart refill there. Didn't get it. That's okay. We do have a Kano Samar Burna if desirable, so not the worst. Gonna be a little bit awkward, but that's quite alright. Hello. Okay. Uh-oh. I didn't play that well enough. This get DM is much better for you? Alright, that's nice. Thank you for the suggestion earlier. Uh-oh. I may have to practice this boss here again a bit. Because I'm kind of goofing up these quite a bit. It's a really nice bootless climb. Well, aside from taking a bit too much damage along the way, I think it went surprisingly well. Let's see. You seem that the quality is trash, but Amazon seems to have third-party SNES mini controls, and so does AliExpress. Yeah, I mean, can't really have first-party controls if Nintendo never sold the SNES mini controller separately to begin with, so that's a catch. 1, 3. I messed up. I needed to go for only 3 and then start spinning, but fine. 1, 2, 3. Actually, I can't do the thing. 4, 5. I have a fairy. 6, 7. I needed to go. You know, if I were to use Kinaburna, it would have been quite laggy, but simultaneously, it would have been way faster in the grand scheme of things anyways. Need to be careful about magic though. Uh-oh, that was slow. That's okay. Probably. Oh no. You know, look at the bright side. When you get knocked out from one of these fire bats, it does not knock you as far back, so falling into the hole is not as big of a deal. I needed to charge up there. I find the arrows in the dark world. No, actually. 1, 2. It's 12 swings. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. One more. Blast first, and there we go. Not the best played. And this kind of probably highlights as to why I actually really started appreciating the Zelda boots seats, because I was a lot of walking. Then again, I actually kind of like the concept of Molder mounts. You have ended the domination of Dr. Wily, and we have finished with a time of 1 hour, 38 minutes and 29 seconds. Alrighty. Tempered is so much nicer in this fight. We would 100 times prefer tempered silverless to master sword with silvers. I see. For me, those are about equal. Because I do the Samaria strats. for the Master Sword, it's really not too bad. I need a bit more patience, and usually I don't get a 1 cycle in phase 2, but sometimes it works out. Usually I get like 3 cycles and 3 cycles. Really? Thank you for the GGs, everybody. Alrighty. Bit of a late stream today, but I got to run to streaming, so that's nice. But also for now, I think I'm just gonna take it easy. So, I will say, everybody, thank you so much for watching, thank you so much for listening and for lurking. I hope you enjoyed your stay, I hope you enjoyed being around, and, well, hopefully until next time. Take care, and have a good night. Oh, also, before I go, if we can arrange that on a fire, I would be happy to buy these off of you, or, well, that one controller, because I imagine you probably want to have at least one. And, well, we'll see how it works out. Thank you so much for the suggestion, I appreciate it. And everybody, have a most pleasant evening, and take care. Oh yeah, we can check the spoiler logs actually to see where the thingamajig is. Or was, I guess. Let me go and check that real quick. I assume I made a spoiler log thingy. This side can't be reached. Uh-oh. Now it works. Alrighty, spoiler log, let's see. Where were silvers? Silver Arrows upgrade was in the Dark World. On Stumpy! Oh! So if you went just a little bit onto the Dark Overworld, you would have gotten Silver Arrows along the way. Probably not worth it for that alone, but I would have been pretty close by. And boots. Pegasus boots were also in the Dark World. They were a Maya shed on the left. So actually, this seed, nobody would have gotten boots, because we did find the flute inside Gannon's tower, and you're not gonna go outside. But actually, this could have been a fun seed right there, where you could find the flute in Gannon's tower, but the big key is on the torch. And then you have to go outside to get the boots with the item you got inside Gannon's tower. Honestly, that's kind of my dream seed. Like, I would love for something like that to happen to me sometime. Because that would be really fun. If you have to, yeah, that's fair. If it doesn't work out, that's perfectly fine still. Thank you so much for the idea on a fire. Appreciate it. Okay, once again, good night.